Well, if everything's still going to plan, I'm still in Sweden. Not right at the moment. I'm sitting in the living room in South Wales, but anyway, my body will be in Sweden. And here's a sequel to last week's memory of being at sea. This is when I nearly squashed a tug. See you. The day I almost squashed a tugboat. In my second trip I was sort of promoted, or at least given a privileged position, as one of the 3 choice quartermasters, which meant that we steered the ship in and out of ports, through canals and any other difficult situations. Unfortunately, we were headed towards the Panama Canal from Australia, and one of the 3 of us was taken ill. So there were only 2 of us to take the boat through the Panama Canal, and it takes a lot of concentration. And so we did an hour on and an hour off all day long. One of my hours meant I was on as we went through the cut, and in those days with the size of the ships it was quite often 2-way traffic, and the pilots weren't much help. We approached a ship coming the other way, and he just simply said to me,
"Just make sure you don't hit that ship, boy."
Well, at the Caribbean end of the canal is a town called Colon, and we arrived there early evening and berthed to take on fresh water. So my fellow quartermaster and myself tossed to see who was going to take the ship out, and I lost, and I was told that the pilot would be on board to take us out at 9 o'clock. Well, 9 o'clock came, I was on the bridge ready, and then news came that no, he was delayed. So I went back to my cabin, I lay down on the bunk in full uniform, and I fell asleep. And the next thing I knew I was being shaken like mad and told, "Quick, quick, on the bridge! The pilot's there and he's waiting for you." So, still waking up from a deep sleep, I made my way to the bridge and onto the wheel. And oh dear. They let go the lines and we started going astern, and the pilot said, "Hard to port," and I thought, well, my brain told me that the boat was going that way, so I put hard to starboard on and repeated, "Hard to port, sir." When we moved out far enough, the pilot gave the order, "Slow ahead," and we started moving slow ahead, and I thought to myself, well, when's he going to tell me hard to port? When's he going to tell me? And he didn't. He just ran backward and forward across the bridge, and it was before the days of walkie-talkies, and he blew the whistles at his tugboat, and the tugboat was pushing like mad, and we were beginning to push the tug towards the ship. Finally he looked up at the rudder indicator, turned to me and said, "I said hard to port." I said, "It is." Oh Christ. So I spun the wheel round hard to port, just in time. Well, I couldn't believe what I'd done, and apparently, so the cadet on standby told me later, the pilot had gone mad at the captain, but the captain had defended me vigorously. But it didn't end there. The day didn't end there. Oh no. At Cologne, you drop the pilot before you get through the breakwater. And the rules of the road there are that if you're approaching and you want to come into the harbour, there are 2 beacons up on the mountains behind the city, and you line those up when you are 2 miles off, and then you go straight towards the harbour entrance, and if there's a ship coming out, you give way to it. Well, there was a rogue ship about half a mile off the breakwater and coming parallel with it, and it was going to be very difficult. The captain turned to me and he said, "Charles," he said, "when I say hard to starboard, you do it immediately, okay?" I said, yes sir. And I did. And we just missed this other ship. And that was the end of it. Nothing more was said. We went up to New York, and I was not called for course quartermaster duty when we arrived, nor when we left. And I thought that I'd been demoted or I'd lost the privilege. But then as we were approaching the Cape Cod Canal, because we were on our way from New York to Boston, and there's a Cape Cod Canal is a bit of a shortcut. I was working on deck and I was in working uniform, working clothes, and I was called to the bridge immediately. I went up there, still in my working clothes, and the pilot that was going to take us through the canal said, I understand you had a bit of a moment at Cologne. I said, yes sir, I did. He said, right, let's see if we've lost your nerve. I'm not going to say a word, you take it through. Well, I was astounded and very pleased with myself. And I took it through the Cape Cod Canal. It's only 8 miles long, but never mind. And I took it all the way through without one single command or order from the pilot or the captain. And when we got out the other side, the captain said to me, I'm glad you haven't lost your nerve, Charteris. Carry on. I carried on. Very happy boy.